12:15 a.m. August 27th, 2015. Old Faithful, Yellowstone National Park webcam. Alrighty. Just checking in to see what it's doing over there. Nighttime, hard to see it, but I guess there's things steaming in the background. I don't see a lot of action going on here, but I figured we better check in and look at it. Alright, moving on.
On InfoWars from the Planned Parenthood video of the CEO of STEM Express says, Planned Parenthood organ buyer, I'm a huge Hillary fan. She's getting elected this time. It is a done deal as far as I am concerned. The CEO of STEM Express, the company which procures the body parts of aborted babies from Planned Parenthood, is reportedly a huge supporter of Democrat presidential contender Hillary Clinton. Kate Dyer, the STEM Express, appears in the latest undercover sting video released by Pro-Life Center for Medical Progress Tuesday, which features the corporate executive discussing Planned Parenthood as a volume institution that can provide intact fetuses while at the same time noting clinics' horribly unsanitary conditions. And in this video, she goes on to talk about her support for Hillary Clinton, as Hillary Clinton Dyer is a die-hard supporter of Hillary Clinton, who in 2015 is the largest recipient of Planned Parenthood employee contributions in the presidential field. She keeps an autographed photo of the Democratic frontrunner on her desk, a gift from her sister, a staffer for White House Speaker John Boehner. I have a signed picture of Hillary Clinton because my sister works in Congress, she said. I'm a huge Hillary fan. She's getting elected this time. It's a done deal as far as I'm concerned. Those are interesting comments as part of the video release, this latest video release by the Center for Medical Progress. And we do have a lot of other news to get to tonight. I don't know, I'm going to start here. This is an interesting story that I found earlier today. And Ellen Marzulli, who's been a frequent guest on our show, has, as well as Steve and many other people, have talked about the cover-up of the Smithsonian Institute hiding the skeletal remains of giants that have been found across America. Well, today there is a news report. Smithsonian admits to destruction of thousands of giant human skeletons in early 1900s. A Supreme Court ruling has forced the Smithsonian Institute to release classified papers dating from the early 1900s that proves the organization was involved in a major historical cover-up of evidence showing giant human remains in the tens of thousands had been uncovered all across America and were ordered to be destroyed by high-level administrators to protect the mainstream chronology of human evolution at that time. The allegations stemming from the American Institution of Alternative Archaeology that the Smithsonian Institution had destroyed thousands of giant remains during the early 1900s was not taken lightly by the Smithsonian, who responded by suing the organization for defamation and trying to damage the reputation of the 168-year-old institution.
This is this is all about what Tim Alberino and Steve Quayle have been talking about. Folks, Steve Quayle has told me, I think it was yesterday or this morning, that their documentary is coming out here shortly. And
I can't wait for that.
I'm going to tell you something.
This is the way Tim Alberino has footage all throughout Peru, and
yeah, I'm not so sure, you know, how much I can, but I'll just say this: this stuff here that we're talking about with the giants, you know, this goes back to Genesis, and people say, well, what do giants have to do with giants and Nephilim in Genesis 6, and what does this have to do with the stock market tanking or the issues of today? And I always say it has everything to do with it, folks, everything to do with it. Because what we're talking about here is the lineage. Well, first of all, we're talking about pre-Adamic stuff. We're talking about the fallen angels. We're talking about the
Well, this was all biblical.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
And this has, stemmed through a court case. It says, during the court case, new elements were brought to light as several Smithsonian whistleblowers admitted to the existence of documents that allegedly proved the destruction of tens of thousands of human skeletons reaching between 6 and 12 feet in height, a reality mainstream archaeology can't admit to for different reasons, claims the AIAA spokesman James Sherwood. There's been a major cover-up by Western archaeological institutions since the early 1900s to make us believe that America was first colonized by Asian peoples migrating through the Bering Strait 15,000 years ago. In fact, there are hundreds of thousands of burial mounds all over America which the natives claim were there a long time before them and that show traces of highly developed civilization. Complex use of metal alloys where giant human skeletal remains are frequently found but still go unreported in the media and news outlets. A turning point in the court case was when a 1.3 meter long human femur bone was shown as evidence in the court of existence.
So wait a second. I know the answer to this, but 1.3 meter. Let's talk English, okay?
This is a question for Stan.
How big is that?
I don't know.
How many, there's 2.54 centimeters in an inch, how many inches in there, how many, I guess what I'm saying is, all these people don't realize how big these bones are, I guess.
Well, what this is about is more than finding skeletal remains of giants and then destroying them. The purpose for the destruction is very simple. It is, done for the purposes to hide the legitimacy of the Bible from the rest of the world and what the Bible states. And
there it is.
The purposes of evolution taught in schools. This does not fit in their evolution theory or theory of evolution.
Right.
So we have to get rid of it. Just like the NOAA Weather Center has been caught, fudging the temperature records to make the degrees 2 degrees higher on some of their maps. They're doing so in an effort to create this global warming man-made global warming pandemic, if you will, as a way to continue to raise taxes and implement Agenda 21 through United Nations means. But this is in itself is proof of what L.A. Marzulli, what Steve, what every person has come on and said about the Smithsonian Museum, that it has not only hid and suppressed but destroyed evidence of what the Bible, claims to be true. And what other reason would they have to hide these, ancient skeletal remains of human beings who were allegedly giants? I mean, why? For the purposes of science, you have a discovery and you show it to the world. But here, they knew they had to, even as early as the 1900s. Was the theory of evolution popular in 1900?
Was it popular in
1900?
known?
Was it?
Well, of course, it was known, but see, it was okay. That's kind of, to me, that's not really the right question to ask. I suppose when we talk about evolution, we have to look at it as,
I guess.
No. It wasn't really until the Scopes monkey trial, which, it was known, but not really. The turning point would be the Scopes monkey trial, which would be akin, I would say, to the, you'd have to understand that time period and such. It's just kind of outside of the scope of the program tonight, but, you have to understand that this is a religion we're talking about. Evolution is a religion by definition. It's not a science. And it's unfortunate that people take it as fact when there's no basis to back up the theory of evolution. And first of all, I did not descend or evolve from an ape. If you wish to believe you did, not you, Joe, but those people, who believe in evolution, so be it. Perhaps that's more appropriate for you. But
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diane, and today is August 27, 2015. Here are your news updates for today. Max, stop! Max, stop! We might be getting a flea invasion. We gotta be careful about this. Wow. We're getting ready for a hurricane. It's gonna over here in central Florida, off the East Coast. And we'll see how that develops. Hurricane Erica. So, let's go into E&E News, Energy News. Japan, Fukushima. August 24th. Record-breaking typhoon to make direct hit on Japan's only restarted nuclear plant. 159 miles per hour gusts last night, strongest ever measured at location. Waves near 40 feet high expected around island. Government alerts for landslides and floods. Cracks and leaks already found at nuclear plant. Also, unprecedented volcano warning near Japan's only restarted nuke plant. Mountainous swelling expanding, large amounts of magma causing sudden crustal movement. Government now, extremely high risk of major eruption. Government before nuke restart. Little chance of major eruption. Alright, so basically, let me give a free consultation on this to the government over there. And TEPCO, or whoever that is running all that. Okay, so even though you saw what's going on with Fukushima, you're going to restart the nuclear plant over there. Now, the Earth gave you already a warning with the unprecedented volcano alert. But you still you have that plant still going. You haven't shut it down yet. Because you can't shut it down right away, but the only one you decided to start is by a volcano. And I guess the Earth is not going to put up with that. So, and you couldn't take that warning. I guess it's still on, so now a typhoon is going to go in and take care of it. I guess it takes the finger of God to, like, stop all this, because you can't take the warnings. And what are the odds on the only one you decide to start? It's in the path of a typhoon and of a volcano. Now who's incompetent there? What was the point of restarting something? If you didn't use it for almost 5 years, why do you need to restart it now? Obviously, it's not needed. Right? This is all crimes against humanity. And you haven't taken care of Fukushima yet. That just keeps going. So obviously there's some evil intent, because you fool us once, you're the fool. Fool us twice, then we're the fool. Oh no. Oh no. All of them have to be stopped right now. I mean, it's just idiocy. Uh-oh, cat, get down. Just plain idiocy. Do you understand that? You guys are going down in history as the most evil and inept, stupid asses to ever walk the planet. And greedy and evil. Oh my God. Alright, so that's your consultation. You shut them all down right now. And for the hurricanes out there and typhoons on the West and East Coast, if it's not a weather war, then here's a shout out to HARP, because now one of the universities is playing with HARP. It's not shut down anymore. So turn it back on, just like we saw on the History Channel, and you can direct a beam, a little laser beam, and break up the storms. We know you have the technology. You even put it on mainstream. That HARP can cause earthquakes And HARP can also disintegrate storms and steer storms. So what are you doing? So that's liable negligence. If you do not correct it right now and stop these typhoons and these hurricanes, because you have the technology. And you could prove me wrong on that. Tell me you don't have the technology, and since you do have the technology, that makes you negligent. And this university that has control of it now, using federal fund, obviously they get federal funding, which comes from the taxes that the people pay. Hear all the frogs, they agree with me in the background. So, do you understand? If you're using taxpayer money at all to run that school, and you're going ahead and doing your little HARP thing over there, then you better go ahead and use it for good, and go ahead and turn the storm, disintegrate the storms, because you do have the power of doing that. If not, you're negligent, and you could be. We could sue them. We can sue them because they have the technology, and it's our funding, the government's funding, that comes from the people. So now, either they're going to have to turn the storms off, or be sued, right? And criminal charges for negligence, correct? Am I wrong? Look, the frog stopping. No, I'm not wrong. Alrighty then. Moving on, let's talk about now. Let's talk about also not Yellowstone, that over there in Idaho, where the hot springs was, and the guy and his two dogs. The two dogs got scalded to death. It's on my recent uploads. And the water was so hot it killed the dog immediately when it hit the water. How hot was that water to actually kill the dog immediately? That's pretty high, isn't it? Now, here's for the Park and Recreations, what is it? The National Forestry Service, to park rangers. Do your job. Go out there and monitor, or do the Chinese own some of the national parks now? I think the Chinese own it. Well, whoever owns it. Whatever's going on. Do your job. You go out there with a little thermometer, stick it in there. If it's too hot, put the police tape up and say closed due to extreme temperatures. Do I need... What seems to be the problem? You just put out a warning, please be careful? No. You do your jobs. You're on a payroll. Someone's getting paid to be a park ranger. You get out in your little Jeep, and you go out there. You put a thermometer in there. If it's too hot, you put the tape up and say, do not enter, extreme heat. Could be fatal. Could cause injury or death. Do you understand? Why do I have to tell you how to do your job? Put out a warning. Oh, please be careful. No, you go and monitor what's going on out there and post and block off so people, because not everyone, here's one, not everyone speaks English. You put out your warning. Is it in like 27 different languages? Because you have people from all over the world, and also you got your immigrants that come from all over the world visiting everything. You tape it off, or you're liable and you should be sued. Do you understand? What is wrong with people? Another negligence. That's what it is. It's negligence. Or it's done on purpose so people get injured. Right? What is wrong with people nowadays? Alright, prove me wrong on that. The rangers should be out there monitoring, taking the temperatures, and then putting up the police tape or the sawhorses. Do not enter. Do not touch water. If you collect money when you drive through these parks, so you are liable. You're making money off of people visiting these parks. You are liable. You are charging a fee to get in. Or am I wrong? Alright. Let's move on to... oh, my goodness. We should move on. There is another thing. What else was it? No, that might be it. Oh, let's move on. Then we can comment and give some more information here. Moving on. The things I'm seeing and I mean, it's incredible. Let's go to E&E News, Energy News. U.S. Canada, August 26. Many baby seals dying of leukemia-linked disorder along California coast. Blame for over 1/3 of recent deaths at San Francisco Bay Rescue Center. Now, did they make a big announcement there to all the visitors? Are you putting up signs? We might have to give another consultation here. Okay, the 25th. Breaking. Fukushima nuclear waste detected along Southern California coast. Highest levels seen anywhere in North America since testing program began. 8.4 becquerels, meter tripled, of radioactive cesium measured near beach between Los Angeles and San Diego. Alright. Let's give a free consultation one more time. I was born in actually in Hollywood. Grew up in Los Angeles. Used to go boogie boarding over there by station number 21. It has all been destroyed. I was living on my boat out there, and I guess I was lucky enough to hear the call to get out of there. At least a couple of years before the impending doom that is now over there. I mean, I would still be on my boat, sitting there on the ocean. Boat's probably melted now, and full of radiation. Do you people understand that now we're hitting the 5 years? Remember what I said? After 5 years, they're not going to be able to hide it, because now you're going to see the effects of it. It's going to be a tsunami of all the people that were. It's like the fallout, the collateral damage. They can't hide the collateral damage now. And I'm telling you, it's so hard. You try to tell relatives, friends, and they go, Fukushima, what's that? What's that? You remember that. When they could be sue everybody. I don't know why they're not all impeached down there. I don't know why they're not. Why isn't the government? What the mayor, all of them? They have to know. They've all been hiding it. Another thing I've noticed, being in Central Florida, we have an LA Fitness. We have a Los Angeles Fitness. You see, the big boys, they all know. Everything's being built up over here. This is like Los Angeles' sister city down here. And you also got Disney World, you got Universal Studios. It's like the Mirror, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They transferred it all over here years ago. They already knew something was going to happen, if not an earthquake, something was. But now they're building this place up like you can't believe. I'm going to tell you, I'm just about had it trying to warn people about all this, doing the Watchmen thing. I'm still reporting on it, but to sit there and argue with people, I put up there on my recent uploads, hopefully you'll watch David Icke on what he has to say about this, about, the ignorant people and ignorance. I'm just telling you, I think everybody, we've done our share of warning people. I mean, we could report on stuff, but the family, you know, we're actually, you know, I was thinking about this the other day. The people here, like you got Dutch Sands, Dabu 77, Mary Greeley, BP Earthwatch, myself, FEELFREEMUSIC, and all you listener YouTubers out there that are watching our channels, or subs. But not everybody subs me. I don't know. It seems like I have very few views sometimes, which is impossible. Some of it's impossible with the numbers. But okay, in Tattoo 1009, I believe that we're the breakaway civilization. You've done your share of warning. Basically, I mean personal. I'm not talking about actually keep doing your YouTube channel. But the people, you tell them once, they don't want to listen, they think you're full of crap or there's something wrong with you. Alright? I just wouldn't even talk about it. You're just wasting your time now. All you can do is just warn them once and that's it. Say, oh, I don't know, do your own research. I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come to you. Once everybody starts breaking out with all the cancer and everything and they actually see it, they're going to come running to you. But you know what? Somehow it always bites you in the ass when you try to help someone. A lot of the time. I mean, if you save 1 or 2 people, or 5 million people, that's great. Even 1 person is great. But I think it's time now just go ahead and be prepared for anything. Alright? And just, I am fed up with trying to warn people, I mean, on a personal level. If you get what I'm saying. I mean, you tell them, don't be living there. Do you understand? Oh, I don't see anything. What do you mean, Fukushima? What's Fukushima? You know, you tell your siblings, you tell, you know, maybe a co-worker or 2, and they think you're nuts. They think you're paranoid. And then sooner or later they'll find out, I guess. We're all too far ahead of our time. We're so far ahead to try to explain all this stuff to people. I'm just saying, now I think, I mean, everyone's done their job. Good job. Maybe you saved at least 1 person's life. But now it's time to take care of ourselves. I believe we're the breakaway civilization when all this goes down. Alrighty then, take care. Be safe. I'm attaching a bunch of stuff. Some of the shows that were from last night, I attached on there if I saw or heard something interesting. Alrighty then. Be prepared for anything. It's the eve of Friday, 4 days down. 1 to go before the weekend. And just take care of yourself now. Alrighty then. And be prepared. We're obviously the breakaway civilization. We'll see what happens. All the people here that are in the know. Alrighty then.
Thousands of people of European descent add weight to the theory that the sunshine vitamin plays a role in battling MS. Listen to this one. The dust in your home contains an average of 9,000 different species of crawling microbes, according to a study. Researchers from the University of Colorado at Boulder analyzed the dust found in 1,200 households across the United States. Residents of South Florida are closely eyeing Tropical Storm Erica, which could begin impacting Florida as early as Sunday or Monday. So here we go there. Sunspot AR-2403 started to decay, but it's still dangerous. A 10% chance of an X-flare. And astrophysicist Stephen Hawking is saying, if you can somehow go through a black hole, you may end up in another universe on the other side. Let's check in with astronomer Dr. Sky Stephen Cates for his update on what's going on. That's a great story by Stephen Hawking, Steve.
Oh, yes, George. It's good to be with you again and the listeners of Coast. It's amazing. Stephen Hawking's at it again. And here's something that maybe the listeners are not very familiar with. Back in 1974, he delivered a very disturbing theory and claimed that black holes can evaporate, and two, that black holes are obviously not absolutely black, and that they can potentially disappear in a fraction of a second in a burst of what he called Hawking radiation. But now at a conference in Stockholm, Sweden, Professor Hawking, the genius that he is now saying, as you talked about before, if you feel you're in a black hole, don't give up, because there may be a way out. Now, nobody obviously can check this, but theoretically, the genius continues, he says that two ways or two mechanisms exist. One, we could come out as some sort of holographic image, that's energy, or, how about this, transferred as a passageway to another dimension. Now, that's really fascinating stuff, and he on the cutting edge of everything on the quantum physics side. But, George, as we close, always a treat for the listeners, something to look forward to in the skies. This weekend, we come across one of the great full moons, the next one on the 29th this Saturday, called the full sturgeon moon. It's close, but as you've been talking about, and we will talk about hopefully in September, don't forget that big blood moon on September the 27th and 28th is not only a full supermoon, the closest full moon of the year, George, but it also, obviously, with the eclipse, is the beautiful harvest moon. And get a load of this. It'll be some 221,753 miles away, so it gives us, don't you think, ample time to prepare for the beauty of the sky.
Sure does. Exciting stuff. Stephen Cates. In a moment, Craig Hewlett joins us. Those of you who are into the breaking news of the day, wait till you hear some of the things we'll be talking with Craig about for the first couple hours. Plus, we'll take some of your calls. This is one of those times that we need somebody who's really in the know, and that's Craig Hewlett. We'll be back with him in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Good to have you. Of course, he's an author, The Hydra of Carnage as well. And, you know, there are so many stories, Craig. I don't know how to begin other than to say, what a ride we're going to have over the next couple of years, my friend.
Oh, yeah. I think the next couple of years are going to be a terrible ride, but it's going to actually foretell the next 8 years in the White House after the election. I think the American people are going to have to face some serious fundamental changes. I think the elite know that it's time to make their move. I think Jeb Bush is their choice, no matter what we're seeing or what we're hearing in polls. I think this thing that we've referred to as the empire, the global regime, the New World Order, whatever you want to call it, I think it's about to make a move of a pretty grand scale that I don't think the American people are ready for yet.
Well, since you brought up Jeb, let's talk about this for a little bit now. If I got to tell you, but based on I see the strength of Donald Trump, if Jeb Bush gets the nomination, then those elitists, those one world government folks, are into this in a big, big way. I've got another one of our guests. He's a psychic, John Hogue. He's already predicted a Hillary-Jeb Bush run. He won't change his mind. In spite of what we see happening in the polls, he still thinks it's going to be those two. And I guess you do too, huh?
Well, I think that's the plan. It's been the plan for quite some time. Hillary left the State Department and moved to the State Department from the Senate, all in an effort to gain enough credibility and credentials to run for president. There was never any doubt Hillary was going to run. The fact that Jeb Bush was supposed to run for president back when George Bush Jr. did it and upset the family cart, as it were, I think that's important to remember. Jeb Bush was always the family's choice to follow George Bush Sr. into the White House. It doesn't matter to them, of course, that Jeb Bush didn't take over after Sr., but they certainly made it very clear, the elite made it very clear, that Jeb Bush would be the following choice after that. And the money's there. The money, the institutions are there. And they've been grooming him for years since he left the governorship in Florida. They've been grooming him on speaking tours. Council on Foreign Relations backed his publishing rights, the book on immigration. They groomed him, literally flew him all over the world to meet with government leadership, unbeknownst to anybody but a handful of people that follow such things as myself. So, knowing all of those things, Jeb Bush is the choice, remains the choice. And really, when you look at what's going on right now with Donald Trump, you should reflect back on the almost, now it looks kind of Monty Python-ish, that Ross Perot ran twice for the presidency, when in fact, I was saying each time he did, the man has no intention of being president. He just wants to take votes away from George Bush, which he did. And that's why we ended up with Bill Clinton. All Trump is doing, and we've got a pretty good chunk of evidence for this, Trump was called by Bill Clinton a number of times before he announced he was going to run for president. I think he's running simply to take the votes away from Jeb Bush. That's not going to work this time.
This is going to be very interesting because I've heard a couple people talk about that, Craig, that Trump is not in it to win. He's in it to let Hillary win. And they were very, very close at one point, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hillary and Bill both attended Trump's wedding. Trump gave millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. They've always actually been close. Trump's really not a Republican. You have to understand, he's even admitted publicly on a number of occasions that he's a businessman. And as a businessman, he gave money to Republicans and Democrats alike because that's the way businessmen bet on the elections of a two-party system. They always win. So he's already admitted to that. And he really doesn't talk like a Republican all the time. And I don't think that's really relevant. He's running as a dark horse. He doesn't like the Bush family. He likes the Clintons. And he's also probably the most narcissistic man on the planet at this point.
Well, if that's to work, then Bush would have to get the nomination. Hillary would need to get the nomination. And then Trump would have to run, as Perot did, as an independent.
That's correct. I think he, first and foremost, he has to get Hillary to win the Democratic nomination. You know, that's not a shoo-in because the elite don't care as much about her as they do Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush is their man. And anybody that doubts that has no understanding of the Bush family's history or how they operate politically. Once you understand who that family is, they're very much like the Rockefellers. That's why when a poll was done recently about who the richest presidents have been, George Bush is way down at the bottom, and supposedly the richest president we've ever had is John Kennedy. And I'm telling you, that's the biggest joke on everybody, because George Bush Sr. and the Bush family are billionaires 10 times over. It's just how they handle their money and what they do with their money that makes you not aware of their great wealth. They operate the same as David Rockefeller. In 3 books about Rockefeller that I have on my bookshelf, the mantra of the Rockefellers is you start a company, you issue stock, but you never sell it. You use your power and your wealth and your political connections to make that stock go through the roof, but you never sell it. And by doing that, nobody will ever know how much you're worth or how much stock you actually own, because it's not allowed to be reported unless it's in the buy-sell category.
Important dialogue going on. Professor, you were looking at the continental shelf-off of Europe, and it extends quite a bit, just like the continental shelf-off of northeast United States with the Grand Banks off Nova Scotia and New Brunswick and off of Newfoundland. What people should understand is that what's going on, of course, is they call the seamounts out in the Caribbean are actually soon going to blow, which means we're going to have some volcanic activity under the ocean. We have the Cumbre Viejo supervolcano in the Azores that actually could drop a giant island that literally could cause a tsunami 800 feet high, traveling at Mach 1 toward North America, Europe, and Britain, which of course is going to hit all these nuclear reactors that are sitting on the coast. So Fukushima is just a warning. To me, Fukushima is saying, almost a grace God saying, you know, hey, Fukushima is happening. You need to shut down all these reactors and move to non-nuclear forms of energy and get your nuclear materials out of these sites because they're going to go. And I don't think the world has heeded that warning for 4.5 years. To me, it's very disturbing. We've given them technical answers as to what to do to fix it. Everything's converging that literally things are really going to start getting nuts in the next few weeks, aren't they?
Well, Japan just started up their first nuclear reactors in Fukushima, and it's an amazing disaster, but it shows you who controls the world of energy. these companies are so big and they have so much control internationally.
Well,
clearly the people don't have any control at all.
Well, there was a Western gas producing company that was actually using hydrofracking, said they would supply all the gas needs with tankers to all the nuclear reactors in Japan, and they could have converted their nuclear reactors all to LNG from America. From Alaskan LNG, liquid natural gas. And guess what? Obama blocked it. I mean, who's he working with? He's working with George Soros. He's working with the people from Berkshire Hathaway that have the rail companies that ship oil by tanker truck rather than by pipeline, which is why he blocked the XL pipeline so they could, his buddies could make billions of dollars. That's how corrupt things are. It's just obscene, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's shutting down the coal plants. Clearly we have to get off of coal. But and coal is really one of the major air pollutants in the United States right now. But we can't get off of it yet.
Well, the coal that basically the coal that I know from anthracite coal from Wyoming is such high grade that the plants were producing power in Colorado Springs and Denver were only producing flight because they had proper scrubbers and so on. There was almost no pollution. I was one of the HAGMANN doctors taking care of these plants, and there was almost no pollution coming out of them, except water vapor. And what people need to understand, the coal from China, though, and they have no environmental standards, they don't have any scrubbers, and they use very inferior coal. 83%, according to the U.S. Geological Survey and NASA, this is over 12 years ago, at one of our meetings, our environmental medicine meetings, published, because we have these NASA members and U.S. Environmental Agency, they showed that 83% of the pollution at that time was coming from China, from their dirty coal.
Night in the Desert with Art Bell. Please call the show at 1-952-225-5271.
And then you need a mechanism for using this for making decisions, and that's called sequential decision theory. It has been developed a long time ago. Some solid theories out there, and what I've just done is combined this sequential decision theory with this universal scheme of making predictions, and the theory I coined ICSI, and this is a mathematical theory which you can then theoretically analyze, and what you can prove in a certain sense that this is the most intelligent agent possible.
Huh. All right, let's take the stock market as an example of something that you might want to predict. You can certainly predict trends. You can record, compress history, and look at it over long periods of time, and I suppose be somewhat successful. But then there are so many variables that begin to come along, like the bubbles that we create around the world, whether it's in China or the U.S., our housing bubble here, and I guess theirs there. And then, of course, you've got the even more complex aspect of human emotion tied up. And so it gets very complex, does it not, trying to predict?
Yes, it is a very complicated problem to predict the future, indeed. If we could do it well, we could all become rich, right? And the theorems and the algorithm doesn't say it will be an excellent predictor in all circumstances, but what you can show is, let's assume you have some data, weather data, stock market data, and there is some unknown algorithm which could do reasonably well, or to a certain degree